getting past copyrights. It's been a long time, but the salon will start right now. Don't worry, everybody. It's almost done. The theme will be more upbeat next week, I promise. Ahoy, hoy, friends, and welcome to the Salon. Tonight, we discuss Star Trek Enterprise Season 2, the second half. Get excited. Before we do, some podcast things. We are obviously live on YouTube right now. Please be sure that you are subscribed. Comment on our videos. Like and follow us on Twitter, Bluesky, all of the podcast places. If you are so inclined, you could give us a few dollars over on Patreon and enjoy discounts on our merch store you see on your screen, tinyurl.com/SalonTrekStore. You can also find a link at salontrek.com. Our benefactors get a percentage off. Our Children of the Fifth House get a higher percentage, and our new tier, Deep Space $9ers, also get a discount on that store. And at the $5 and $9 level, you get access to bonus content. We just filmed March's bonus. Taking it back to pilot season, we did commentary on Second Contact, the pilot for Star Trek Lower Decks. So get excited for that. That's enough silliness of the podcast, but not silly, but great for the podcast. Tomorrow, we will be interviewing Brian Volkweiss, the CEO of the Nacelle Company, who you all may have seen online, has launched a new action figure line, but not the standard action figure line that we saw from Playmates and others over the last couple of years and back into the 90s. We get a whole bunch of new stuff that's really exciting. So we'll be talking with Brian tomorrow and put that out on the channel on Tuesday next week. It is not an April Fool's joke. It will be happening. So get excited. That said, let's talk about Star Trek. In order to do that, though, I got to beam in my crew. So let's start with my co-host, Trevor. How are you, darling?
I'm delightful. How are you?
You are delightful. Thank you. I am trying.
You're trying.
Speaking of trying, here's Will. How are you, buddy?
Oh, don't accuse me of trying. How dare you?
Sorry. So offensive.
I'm good. Not trying though. Skating by on the bare minimum.
Segue here. Benji, how are you?
Good. I am delighted.
Love it.
To be here.
Love being delighted. Also, hello to everyone in the chat. I see Jake, I see Joel, I see Fathery, I see Benji, Will, who are also, and Trevor, all three of you on the chat, in the chat and on the salon. I love it. Thank you all for joining us. Who's excited to talk about Star Trek? I know I am. One last note before we really get into it, I just remembered, I wanted to let folks know we have switched streaming systems. So if you notice, and don't look for it, but if you notice a quality change in tonight's broadcast, please do let us know. Send us a DM on Twitter or Bluesky or whatever, just so we're aware. I want to make sure that this new system is not fucking up. But I don't think it will be. I'm pretty jazzed about it so far. So we're going to talk about Star Trek now. But before we do, we simply must set an intention.
This is obvious, but don't forget to set an intention when you light it, or you're just going to be wasting the wax.
Indeed, we must. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Fearless Leader, that wonderful new intro for setting an intention. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, wait, I think I have a button for that. I do. I have one. I don't know if you can hear that.
I love it. We also have a reaction button on here. I don't know if you all do, but I do.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I'm going to be so annoying for the next couple of weeks. Get excited. All right, let's set an intention, Trevor.
To set an intention tonight. I thought it would be fun if we fucked with the season finale, so skipping ahead a little bit. And instead of the Zindi attacking Earth, I want to go around the room and find out who you all think should have attacked Earth instead. As always, I will start us off by saying I think it should have been the Suliban, because we already established them as the enemies of Enterprise, even though we'd never heard of them before in the other 5 series that take place after this. Anyway, I feel like it should have been the Suliban. I feel like it should have been more grim and a lot bloodier. And then I feel like it should have been undone. So it should have been some timey-wimey shenanigans. It should have been temporal Cold War nonsense with the Suliban. And then it's undone except for our crew. So the crew of Enterprise remembers everything that they experience while they're attempting to undo it next season or fix it or address it next season. Everyone else goes back to normal except the crew. It would be a fun sort of Buck Rogers-y fish out of water situation with them remembering a year that never happened for everyone else. Their characters would have changed and grown, but maybe a bunch of people that died wouldn't have, and then it wouldn't have caused a bunch of weird canon nonsense with, well, how come we never heard about this attack before? Solves all those problems. So now that I've rewritten all of Star Trek Enterprise, let's go around the room and find out who you all think should have attacked Earth instead of the Zindi. William, you're next to me, so you get to go first.
Yes, I actually also was going to suggest the Suliban because it makes more sense in that there should have been more of a. While I like the Zindi and the concept of them, I think is really cool. It could have been. I think the Zindi attack is a little bit more interesting, because we've been dealing with them for 2 seasons, and then they're kind of involved in this Cold War, and then or the random aliens we get at the end of the season. The blue guys with the red eyes, like something, I don't know. It just, I'm fine with the Zindi. It does, I have issues with it just generally, but yeah, it would have been that, or we've mentioned the Romulans. I also thought the Romulans would be good, a good alternative to that, or someone that we know that we have contact with that maybe like we don't know how we met them, like maybe the Zenkethi or something, like someone that it's like someone that we know about, but they're mentioned a random tertiary background alien. But
yeah, I always liked the idea of the Zindi, but they always felt shoehorned into Enterprise and far too complex for what we get of them. The Suliban would have been more fun.
Well, the world building on this is good, but it doesn't go nearly far enough for now knowing that there's 25 fucking episodes and there could have been more, but anyway.
100%.
The Suliban are definitely a lot gayer. So
this is true.
Also, yeah,
every single one of those.
Give me.
Who doesn't love an evil gay?
Can you guys both go as Suliban for STLV?
Oh, that could be fun.
I'm too fat, but
need like lumpy green.
Has anyone noticed there are no fat Suliban? Come on.
Yes. You know I was going to get on this crusade. I've noticed it.
They're all on
anyone, but yeah.
Future guy gene editing Ozempic.
Some of them look hot. I'm not going to lie. I like the fins.
But boys in cat suits is 100% fine.
I'm not opposed. Not opposed.
100,000%.
North of me on screen and geographically, Benji.
So I was thinking, like, if we are, I guess, fortunate enough to be living in the sacred timeline that ultimately leads to Star Trek, given how things are going, I think the most likely attackers would be space billionaires. So I'm going with space billionaires.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Just how things are, shaping up.
Federation, Earth's conspiracy brings us to Terra Nova. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I like that. I like all of these options. I said earlier that I think it should have been the Romulans, but I was going to come up with a more fun answer. And so my more fun answer is going to be the Bajorans.
Ooh.
What if we randomly met them
and they were
that way? But, yeah, no, I don't like that. I just want to be a contrarian for a moment. I like the Suliban idea. I also think it could have been interesting to introduce the Zindi as another faction in the temporal Cold War coming to the aid of Earth.
Ah. What if destroying Earth was doing Earth a favor?
Ooh. I mean, at this point in
I
2025,
was
I
gonna
mean, it's
say,
start fresh.
Yeah, it's 50-50 at this point.
All right. The intentions are set. Excellent intention setter, as always. Nice and bleak. Sticking with the theme of Enterprise.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, y'all. Let's get into the second half of this season, starting with our top thoughts. I'll kick off this section. I feel the opposite of season 2 that I did in season 1. By that, I mean, I think the latter half of this season is kind of a dud in a lot of ways. I liked more episodes earlier on than I did the second half, and it was the reverse in season 1. We're certainly going to get into it with a couple of these episodes. There's some good stuff. There's some good attempts at some good stuff, and then there are some real duds and real misses, and we'll get to it when we talk about regeneration in full, but I found myself this time. I thought I was going to be as annoyed with it as I was with the Ferengi episode last season. This one worked better for me, and it made a little more sense that they would do something with Borg that crashed from first contact. The execution was wonky, but still in top thoughts, the execution was wonky, I think, is apt for a lot of this season. So I'll leave it there before we dive in. Benji, what were your top thoughts on this half of the season?
I mean, yeah, kind of the same. It was like, it sort of felt a lot like how things started last season. So like, I have some like really memorable favorites that I'm excited to talk about, but still like, I feel like we kind of hit pause on a lot of character development, although like we finally get I guess maybe the only Travis episode. Yeah. And also like T'Pol was not as strung out as much as I expected this season, which I kind of missed. I think maybe just one episode. Yeah. We'll see. Will.
This is like, I rewatching this, I had this like rewatch. Okay, so rewatching the first season, I was like, oh, this isn't as bad. It's like you can tell the franchise is really tired and like they're trying new things, but it's not working. And you kind of give a first season a little bit of grace, especially in Star Trek. This season, I am like, it's so stale. It's like, Mama, why are you serving me this fucking stale ass fucking bread? It's like you acting like you baked this fresh and you just pulled it out of the fucking pantry. It's so. There's like maybe 4 or 5, like looking at the list, there's maybe like 4 or 5 episodes I think are good. And then there's like an episode that I don't know if did you guys already cover Stigma? I don't remember.
That's the first one tonight.
Okay. Which I find to be one of the most offensive episodes of Star Trek next to Code of Honor. It is tone deaf. It is like, as an allegory for the AIDS crisis and an allegory for like this thing that they're trying to build. It is like Quint. I'm gonna point a very, very large finger at both of the producers, Braga and what's his face. That this is their like, they're so uneasy. There's so much homophobia with the both of them, and they're so uneasy discussing topics like this that they end up doing something. Yeah, fuck Rick Berman. They do something so like harmful. It's I will talk about it. I don't need to get into it right now, but this season is just so bad, and I can see why they got booted by the network as producers at the end of this, because it's pretty hard to watch. It's pretty hard to watch. Like some of these episodes, you're just like, oh, we don't know what to do. Let's just have T'Pol get topless. It's like, the fuck are you writing? Like, it's not even that they're like, the actual episodes are written fine. Like, they're not like clunky in any way, but the ideas coming from the two of them are so bad that it's like, get out of here. Like, they're collecting a paycheck. It's awful. Hated this season, especially the second half. But yeah, it just chop. Trev.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree with everyone. No, I'm kidding. This season sucked.
Oh, girl, I'm leaving right now.
This, like, I've referred to Enterprise as randomly running out of gas before, and it definitely does. This is, if season one's misses were evidence of fatigue, the fatigue is just the new norm in season 2. It's recycled ideas. There's no character depth at all. It's relying so heavily on the crutch of we're recreating the TOS cast, but making it in 2003. That it's just silly at this point. And you know, Stigma, I agree with everything that Will said and more. It's particularly frustrating when there was an actual fan script existing, or no, it was I think a pitched TNG script that actually addressed everything they were trying to address in this episode, but better. And it ended up being part of something that turned into like one of the fan series versions of Trek, sort of borrowed from the script and ran with it. But anyway, long story short, if I'm not too late, super clunky, awkward, and just unbecoming a Star Trek series. All right.
And that's the Salon. Good night, everyone. No, we will have some positive things to say, but not yet, because we've got to get into this thumb war. Let's do it. For any new recruits, the way this will work is my co-host Trevor will read a synopsis of the episode that he did not write. Sometimes they're good. Most times they're very clunky. It'll be interesting to see how it is for this half of season 2. And then we will discuss the episode. We'll do a round robin for who goes first, etc. Some we'll discuss in depth. Some we might just vote on quickly. TBD. We'll have some fun with it. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Trevor, bring us some Stigma.
Well, that's not awkward at all. For tonight's shitty Google descriptions, I bring you season 2, episode 14, Stigma. While Enterprise visits a planet where an interspecies medical exchange conference is taking place, Dr. Phlox tries to obtain research on a terminal disease from the Vulcan contingent there. Not only is that a bad description, it's several poorly constructed sentences all mushed into one. Yeah. That said, rip apart Stigma. Go.
Yeah, let's go to Will first, because I know you had some thoughts, and I probably share them.
This is my problem with this comes to a larger problem that sometimes when Star Trek tries to handle subject matter or handle specifically, like, while HIV and AIDS is not wholly a queer gay disease, it is deeply tied to the history of gay and queer people and trans people in this country, and for better or for worse. And this does not do a good enough job tackling the subject matter. It is timid. It is limp-wristed. It is, and it's also a decade too late. Anytime Star Trek tries to deal with a queer narrative in any regard, it feels like it's a decade too late. Like, I have the same feeling with Discovery and some of the queer presentation on that show. If you want to listen to that, you can listen to that really great YouTube video of us, Last Days of Disco. Talk about it, plugging that here. It's my favorite video we've ever done. It is a frustrating episode because I know they could do better. And it's just like, oh, here's kind of an idea. Jolene Blaylock does an incredible job acting. We know this already. Some of the stuff in it is, the idea is interesting. And I do, 2 seasons in, having the Vulcans be this kind of like source of prejudice in the galaxy is a little dried up at this point. But it does not go hard enough on disease and sexual based discrimination. It doesn't go hard enough. It is so timid. It's so just like, we're gonna kind of do it because they don't want to offend people. And they're not giving enough space. They're not doing it. It's Joanne, it's worse than garbage. Mama, this is fucking a dumpster fire. It is a terrible episode. It is one of the worst episodes of Star Trek, I think, because it saddens me as a queer person to be like, anytime Star Trek tries to deal with queerness, it feels tone deaf. It feels timid. It is a decade or two late. And it's like, this is an episode they should have done in TNG. Like, if you want to really get at it, do an episode like that there. Because this episode fits perfect in a TNG episode, the plot line. It does. You can't, it's for 2002? What is this, 2003? 2003? It's
3. It's
like, the fuck are you doing with this? It feels craven also in terms of plot, drama mining. Anyway, fucking hated it. Jolene Blaylock forever. She's fantastic in it. And I also like Phlox's performance a lot as well. But yeah, fuck this episode.
Yeah, it was wild rewatching it now as an adult, and I don't hide this, but I don't talk about it publicly. I live with HIV, and the stigma around it is a wild thing, especially in a time where medication takes care of it. Like I cannot transmit it. In fact, my doctor's appointment yesterday where I destroyed my arms with vaccines proved it, because I also had a whole lot of blood drawn. The attempt at this episode, I completely agree with Will. It was wildly offensive, and my perspective is obviously very changed watching this now as an adult from when I was 18 in 2003. There was a slight, there were a few moments where I'm like, where you're going with it, it could have worked. I did appreciate to Paul not wanting to add to the stigma, be like, no, it doesn't matter that I was forced into the mind meld. We shouldn't be prejudiced against people with Turner syndrome. We shouldn't be prejudiced against this minority. But other than that, it was wild. And like Norman put in the chat, the Flock's wife wants to fuck Trip subplot, like, what a wild B story to have paired with that A story. Trip is a mess. I'm going to talk about him a lot this evening, because he is a mess, and I find myself really disliking Trip on this rewatch of Enterprise, and we'll see where it goes in 3 and 4. Maybe that's where my appreciation of him came from when I was younger. But also, let's be honest, it was the decon chamber scenes. But yeah, this episode was a mess. Trevor or Benji, would you like to take the opposite view? No, I'm just kidding. Did you all have thoughts on stigma?
Benji?
It's classic, like Nothing About Us Without Us, because it's like not about queer people. It's about somebody adjacent to that and who, contracted some other way. So it doesn't even address it. Like, it doesn't address queer people head on. It doesn't address it from a queer perspective. So it's kind of trash in that respect. And yeah, I had the same feeling too. Like, sort of the one like tiny redeeming thing is that T'Pol is at least shows how to be a good ally and like is willing to sacrifice everything to not sell folks out. So good on T'Pol as always. And Fiesel Phlox is a queen. Mm-hmm. That's all I gotta say.
John and Jolene act circles around most of this cast most of the time, and are the only redeeming things about this episode. It's not only a bad allegory, the attempt to align the community of folks who engage in mind melding and sometimes force it on you is such a blatantly dangerous and offensive attempt to tell this story. Like, it's just such a fucking cluster. But for Jolene and John, it should just be set ablaze. I just wouldn't want to ruin, a scene or two that they have that are brilliant. So it's just sad. I liked Stan, I think you said it. I think Will said it as well. Use the word sad to describe the feeling of walking away from this episode. It's just as a lifelong Star Trek fan in 2003 and now in 2025, it still makes me sad and hurts me that it even exists. Just like Code of Honor, but for different reasons.
It feels like they talked to a gay person, and
7 years before they wrote it.
Yeah. Or read an
Or like,
article.
I know what a gay. I was like, I know. I watched the movie Philadelphia. I have a gay friend, and it's like, girl, okay, but that's not what this is. It's devastatingly tone deaf.
Yeah.
Berman has a gay cousin, like everyone else. Yeah. It's
all right. Let's see those thumbs for Stigma.
I wish we had something where we could like this is I hate this episode. Yeah, that's what this episode gets. I want to fire a torpedo at it. Like I want to be like, no, fuck this thing. I want to like eject it, like shoot it out the airlock.
We need like a special like DEF CON version.
I'll
I need a golden buzzer I can hit, and it sucks this episode out an airlock.
Well, you're gonna do that every single time, though.
Asked and answered.
I will.
I've rated a fourth category.
There are some new bells and whistles with Streamlabs. I'll look into it.
All right. Anyway, I need this so I can come back to this later and then be like, so we're doing. Anyway, sorry. Let us press on.
Both what we should do and the title of episode 15, Ceasefire. Captain Archer mediates a dispute between Vulcans and Andorians threatening to go to war over a small planet, and Archer and T'Pol's shuttle is shot down in a war zone. I feel like this description, minus the shuttle shooting down, is the description of every time they deal with the Andorians. Like,
yeah,
more war, more ceasefire. What are we gonna do? Anyway,
but the return of Susie Plaxon in a new role. Hell yeah, Benji. What are your thoughts on this episode?
Susie Plaxon, also Queen. Kevon was in it. Yay. Those are the best parts. The only thing, Enterprise has a lot of episodes where it's like we've done exactly this kind of thing in Star Trek a million times, but then the one thing the thread that I'm able to pull from it that they usually throw in at the end is like some thread about how like humans are like taking their place in the galaxy and stuff like that, and I fucking fall for it every time. Whatever. And basic, but I like the bit at the end where it's like, hey, we're like sort of brokering our first peace agreement, and they've made more progress with the Andorians than the Vulcans ever had, and I always fall for that stuff, but the rest of it, meh.
For folks in the chat, Susie Plaxon is the woman who plays Dr. Solar, Kalar, Q, and in this episode, Tara. Yeah, this episode was fine. I like the through line with the Andorians and the Vulcans. Like we touch on them every couple of episodes. Like the pacing of it is a little weird. Like the Shadows of Pajem came a little later than I think it should have last season. But this one, like reigniting the conflict and like starting to put a button on it. Like we know where they're going in season 3 and 4 with it. So that was certainly interesting. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a softening of Saval. Like there were some good touches in this, but that was about it for me. Will,
yeah, I like any episode has Shran in it, and I think Jeffrey Combs is he's really a delight to watch in this character. You can tell he's having a lot of fun. But like it feels like we're like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I like Jeffrey Combs. I kind of want him to come back in some capacity for another Star Trek show, just because I find him a fascinating actor. But yeah, it's fine.
I do hope he ends up in Starfleet Academy somehow.
Well, they were going to cast him as the other Doctor, the Doctor from where no man has gone before, because there's a different that Doctor. So there was, or the one from the Cage,
Dr. Boyd.
And I was like, yeah, Dr. Boyd. I was like, that's a great casting. So yeah. Like, give my man Jeffrey Combs a job. Come on.
Trevor, your thoughts on ceasefire?
I'm sorry, I was mixing a drink. What?
Or would you like to cease fire and see the thumbs?
I'm just gonna go. It's a no for me, dog.
All right. Well, then let's see those thumbs.
That's as split as it gets.
Nice. All right.
It's a sideways.
Peace, Georgia.
Thanks, Georgia.
I'm
And
not
you will
going to
explain
explain
later.
that inside joke right now. We'll talk about it later.
I feel like that's going to be a new clip. Like we need the video of her just saying that.
Yes.
Stay tuned, y'all. In a future episode, our inside joke will make more sense.
Yeah.
Benji will get you in the after show. Episode 16, Future Tense. The Enterprise crew find a small craft drifting in space and are surprised to find that it contains a human corpse. More questions arise when the Suliban and the Tholians both lay claim to it. Dun, dun, dun.
Not a bad synopsis. Trevor, why don't you kick this one off?
Timey-wimey shenanigans, which normally bother me, but in this one don't. It gave me a little bit of Time Squared with we found a shuttle pod with a person in it. That's happened before. I don't know. This is one of the few in season 2 that actually works for me, though. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but it's probably gonna, spoiler alert, get a thumbs up. I like Tholians. I like referencing Tholians, including Tholians. Perhaps Tholians should have attacked Earth in the season finale.
After this episode, yeah, that could have been interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, nothing like there's nothing about this one that really, really stands out, but it's a good episode of Star Trek. I'm not mad at it.
I wish their ships looked different. That's my only thing about the Tholians in this.
That's funny because they said the same thing about you.
I know. Feelings mutual. You gaseous bitches. And it would have been cool to see them, but it's also cool that they didn't go full ham with cutting out that mystery. We'll see them in season 4. Spoiler alert for this 20-year-old show. But yeah, Future Tense. There was some interesting stuff in it. It touches on the temporal Cold War without like being too weird. It gives to Paul and Archer some interesting moments where he's talking about how it's wild that they keep messing with our century. Like we need to take a more active role. It's an interesting perspective. To Paul still being skeptical. Played really well. Good performances. Interesting story. Will or Benji?
Yeah, I agree. This one, I like. This episode's interesting. The temporal Cold War stuff, like it has such potential because it like kind of gives you license to do things like kind of break canon, visual stuff, whatever. Like it just feels like it was a missed opportunity that they kind of used it in ways where it didn't seem like it was used strategically. It was used more as like we want to have this thing happen. Ooh, time travel. Like it does feel like that. Having a prequel surrounded by time travel, which ironically they did in 2009, that like I think we see that formula does kind of work. And like some of the stuff's really interesting. I did think that the ship looks that space turd. It's just like, okay, like some of the design's a little bad. And I'm like, girl, we could have done something a little bit better than this thing that looks like a jewel floating through space. Like, mom, is this a weed pen? Take a hit of the pen, we traveling through time. It's stupid. But anyway, why do they always look like
work? Maybe it is. Maybe you have to go through time.
The ideas on it were really cool. And I was like, okay, it does look. I don't get it. Anyway, it just looks like it's made out of stone, which I think is just bad. Whoever painted it did a weird job. But anyway, no, it's fine. I think seeing the Tholians is really cool. The Suliban, I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, it's a fun episode. It's not my favorite from this season, but it's interesting enough. And their kind of stance on the Cold War is more interesting than that. Like we said, Stan, like we need to take a more active role in this because they're fucking things up. Is a interesting it's an interesting thing for them to kind of say. Like that's an interesting stance instead of trying to be more active in your roles versus being passive around this kind of shit going on.
Yeah. Benji, any thoughts, or shall we vote?
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit. I mean, it's really cool, kind of tense, edge of the seat episode. Really inventive. I really enjoy it. We're just sort of like left with questions at the end, though. And I can't remember if it like comes up later on. Like, do we circle back to it in some way, or is it just like, oh, the temporal Cold War is mysterious, and we're never meant to learn anything?
I don't think they touch on anything from this episode specifically again.
Because it just like kind of ends and they don't know what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is super cool. I just have a question about all those future computers. Is like, why are there so many pop-ups on those like holographic displays? It's just there's so much shit flying around. It's like it's got malware on it or something.
And why isn't the
Yeah,
ship
Daniel's
doing? He wasn't using a time VPN.
All right, let's see the thumbs for future tense. Yeah, that's right. So thumbs up. And also, I just realized I need to remind myself we need to say out loud for our podcast listeners. Sorry, y'all.
Oh, thumbs up.
Thumbs up from the full crew. Just the result. We don't all need to say what we're doing, but
we just assume people want to see us.
Yeah. Well, yes. Subscribe on YouTube, please.
Mm.
All right.
Because everyone does. Mm.
Before we jump to that, I just wanted to make a quick note. In the comments, there was a lot of conversation around Jeffrey Combs appearing in Babylon 5. If you love Babylon 5, be on the lookout for more episodes of Salon 5 as we review seasons of Babylon 5, which many of us have seen, but Joanne has not, and she is watching for the first time, and we're enjoying her reactions, including reactions to things that she has managed to avoid in terms of spoilers that are just adorable when she finds them, and we're loving it. So join us when we drop our next one. There's already one on our channel, so scroll back and find it. Episode 17. Every time I go to say this, I say it wrong. So I'm going to move my lips, and
I got you.
Dan is going to say the name of this episode. So season 2, episode 17.
Canamar.
Archer and Trip are accused of smuggling and confined aboard a prison ship. Prisoners hijack the ship, and Archer and Trip must pretend to be outlaws.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. It just sounds like a middle schooler wrote it. But there's a lot of comments where there should be periods. Anyway, it's not what we're here to critique. Thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, it just kind of exists. I don't know who to go to first, because it's there are several episodes this half of this season that are like outlaw, justicey, captured, but then have to escape. Like
Wild West.
Yeah.
Pew pew.
Annoying person next to you on the plane, which like we've all been there. We've all had a chatty Cathy next to us on a plane. It's the worst.
Guys, Star Trek is the Wild West. Have you seen our Foxy Vulcan?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can just vote on it and go on, but if y'all
I mean, it
right,
doesn't deserve a thumbs down, but it's not good enough for anything else. It's kind of like this. It's like semi-flaccid. Like, I don't know. It's like dangling.
I'm giving it a thumb sideways just because it exists, but it doesn't develop anybody. It doesn't move any other story forward.
It's not offensive.
It's a filler. This is a filler episode.
Yeah.
All right.
Sideways.
I'm a
sideways.
I'm a down. Benji and Stan were a sideways, and Will was had slight.
We'll do a sideways. It didn't offend me. I was just bored.
Yeah, there was more blood in his thumb than mine, so we'll give it a thumb sideways. Anywho, episode 18, The Crossing. When an alien this is awkward. When an alien vessel engulfs Enterprise, non-corporeal creatures invade the crew members' bodies and steal their souls. I feel that description is way more I read it intense, but it's written in a way that makes this episode sound better than it is. Yeah. Thoughts?
Will?
this was stupid. This was a dumb episode. Like, it's fucking dumb, dude. I'm like,
They
oh,
did
this is
on
your first.
Voyager.
They did it on every. They did it every show has done
just
this.
did
Like,
it on
oh no, a
Star
knock.
Trek.
Oh
Yes.
no. Oh no. Oh no. A gas took over my body. If Bev's there, she'd fuck it. Like, it's like, I don't get this. Like,
we
it
need a
drives.
classification of episode that's just Star Trek episode. Because
Yeah.
every
Yeah,
single
like
season
we have
does.
caves. We have cave episodes.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have
Gas taking over bodies.
suspicious alien of the week episode. Mysterious space gas. I'm like, okay, like, girl, this is how you know they're real tired. They're like, they went through their little cue cards. Oh, we haven't done an episode where someone gets taken over by a space gas. Like, oh,
Yeah.
great, cool.
Remember what was the
Ugh.
there was the TNG episode where like the effect looked basically the same. Like it almost to me was like, oh, I wonder if they're calling back to who's his face that took over Deanna, and then the other one, the other one took over O'Brien and Data. But then it also reminded me of the Voyager episode where one by one they were being replaced through transporter technology. And I'm sure there was a
Don't they do it again on Enterprise? Is it the Organians? Is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't like that.
Instead,
And like Father is saying in the chat, to save money, you don't need a guest actor when you just have somebody acting differently than they.
It's so funny to me that the chat is full of episodes, and you're all right. Like, yes, this episode has been done in every series, so anything that you name.
Yeah.
Stan, you were referring to Power Play, which I always thought was I thought was actually a great Keiko episode. But
Yeah.
It's
I
a
will
good
say I thought
episode,
these were
generally.
I thought that these were like the best looking wisps that they've done. Like I thought they were like
Yeah, no, they
cool the
looked
way
great.
like,
Yeah.
when they like went through a wall and sort of
Wisps.
they're pretty. They did a good job.
Yeah.
I think they look better. I will say, like, for some actual commentary, it is kind of like, when I'm wondering why the hell conservatives watch Star Trek. This is one of those episodes where they're like, hey, they have a life form that's like very different from what we're used to, and it turns out the thing that's different from us is like bad and dangerous and evil and should not be trusted.
That's a woke mind virus.
Oh yeah.
actually, Stan, I'm just going to. I know that we okay. So for this episode and this episode only, we don't love what happens when you push the button. But you deserve having the button pushed for picking that picture of Trip.
It was on purpose. Trip looking like he's having an orgasm.
Where it looks like
that I very much wish I was the one giving him.
Gay alert. Gay alert. Gay alert.
I want everyone to know.
Delete it right now.
Behind the scenes.
That video is a one-time or one salon video. I will be going back. My apologies. I tried something different. The crew made it very clear in the pre-show that it is unacceptable. As I said in the pre-show, the feedback has been heard. It is appreciated, even though aggressive, and it will be acted upon following this episode. We will be. I will not commit to going back to the exact video that we used to have, but the wording will change back, and the spirit shall return. I promise.
Joanne.
I think we should all pile on him anyway. Everybody pile on Stan.
Don't do that. He likes that.
Push it again.
Gay alert. Gay alert. Gay alert.
It's fine.
I do think it'd be funny to see somebody like running through a ship with a gay alert going off.
Yes.
I think it could work in that context.
Like this, though. They'd run like
I surrender.
And like the flashing lights are rainbow, of course.
We're all homophobic right now.
We need Will on a green screen just running like that.
No.
We're all getting canceled.
Eject the warp core. No.
I used to work at a human rights campaign, and this is my podcast. I wasn't already laid off.
That is actually problematic. That's the thing.
In
Gay
fairness,
It's okay. It's okay. I have a gay friend.
in
Yeah.
in Will's defense, that's how he actually runs.
That's true. That's true. Well, yeah, Walter chasing after you. What are you doing? Because that happens on a regular basis. Oh no, no! Me running through my apartment.
All right. Should we finish up and vote on the crossing? Let's see.
Did we
the
finish
thumbs.
like Trip did in that picture?
Yeah. It's a sideways all around. That's right.
For those of you listening only. Episode 19, Judgment. I'm going to read the Google description, and then I'm going to read the Trev description. Captain Archer faces the death penalty as he stands trial before the Klingon tribunal on charges of firing on one of the Empire's warships and illegally aiding refugees. That was the Google description. The Trev description, the worst part of Star Trek VI.
Interesting.
Fucking trial with Klingons hammering on a... Like, what?
It looked cool as hell, though.
Let's take a spacefaring race and make them look as like barbaric as humanly possible. Like, it's just it doesn't work for me.
Grandfather Worf.
Yeah.
I don't like this episode. I like some of the things that they tried to do. It is incredibly lazy, though, to give us basically the exact same trial in one of the best Star Trek movies that's ever been produced. It doesn't make sense given what we've seen of Klingon culture in this show, how it's different from what we've seen before, it being a prequel. Like, they could have given us a trial that looked different, but instead they went the lazy route and just did a copy paste. Now, J.G. Hertzler, if I said that correctly, great performance. Loved him as Archer's advocate. Having a Duras, whatever. Like, I'm glad we give him the boot later. Like, spoiler for a few minutes from now in this season, but like it was just it just felt really lazy. Like, it could have been interesting. Like, Archer has pissed off the Klingons. Give us a trial. Like, I love a trial episode, but this was just lazy. So.
Yeah, I don't remember how does he get to the. I don't remember the beginning. How does he get to the trial?
They don't show it. They don't tell us.
Yeah, because that's right. Because it doesn't make any sense. He's just there. But like, it would be interesting if we see the Klingons go through diplomatic like channels and go, this person did this. He should be extradited and tried for his crimes. Yeah. And then there could be tension with that. And then they're like, well, we have to do it. You know, to not risk a war with the Klingons. That's interesting.
Have that conversation.
And then have the trial. Yeah.
That's also a two-parter that I wouldn't hate.
Yeah.
I know. It would be interesting to have like the political thing of that, and like, the Starfleet being like, and Earth being like, what do we do? Do we extradite him to a people that are clear, like possibly very not prejudiced, but like corrupt? Like, what do you do? And that's interesting. But like, yeah, this just kind of drops. I was like, I couldn't remember. That's why I asked, because I was like, he's just there. It's like, why would you go to that trial? Be like, fuck off. Like, like, no, I'm not going to that. I don't know. It's okay. We've seen it better before. We've seen it even in TNG when they've had Klingon related episodes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of, the performances are good. It's a simple episode, but I just don't think it does anything new.
Yeah, and
again, it's fucking Rick Berman going through his little index cards, going, "Yes, you can do a trial with the Klingon."
Yeah, and like, I'll take a good idea from Ron Moore and ruin it, because Ron Moore was the kind of Klingon sire in TNG days. Skipping ahead for a quick moment, this episode should have come after Bounty. Like I remember. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get there. But I'm like, we just did this. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. If Bounty came before this episode, it like maybe not exactly as a part 1 or a part 2, or maybe it is the part 1, and that's how he gets there. It was like filler on filler. Joel Archer fell for a subspace message that he won a free Chronos
Yeah.
timeshare.
No, he would.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this episode, Benji?
A little bit. I was wondering, was this the 10th anniversary of Star Trek 6 or something? Is that why they did this? Like the time frame sounds maybe about right. I do remember when it came out and they were like, we're going to do this Star Trek 6 thing. I thought it was cool at the time. Was that why? I don't know. And it's yeah, I don't know. And they put in like a Klingon that we'd seen before, like how they had whatever his name was, Advocate Worf in 6. Anyway.
It would have been the 12th anniversary, which would be a weird one to celebrate.
Yeah.
Oh, so just no reason then.
April 9th, 2003.
They were out of ideas.
They celebrated the bat mitzvah of Star Trek 6.
So you're too young.
This is the year you become a man, Star Trek 6.
But Star Trek 6 came out in December. So
yeah.
I mean, I guess if you wanted to say the year, but no, not even that. Yeah, 12 years. That's weird.
That's weird. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so the thing I do like about this episode is how they sort of like correct course with the Klingons a bit and speak to how like their society used to be different, that their culture is not a monolith, and particularly was not a monolith. It shows like this progression of how a society can change into something that is more violent. Again, let's take some notes for today, shall we? There's a crooked judge who just works to serve the interests of their supreme leader. So there's a lot of really interesting nuanced stuff in what was like a 5 minutes scene with Martok's character that I tease out, and I love that part. But yeah, that's my biggest takeaway from the episode.
Scene with Phlox was fun.
Which one was that?
Just him checking up on the captain in the cell. It's like, all right, let's see those thumbs. It's a sideways for me.
Enjoy it.
Sideways all around, except for Benji giving us a thumbs up. All right, which I believe averages out to a sideways, but that's up to Trevor. I'm not trying to take your job. My apologies.
I mean, I'm never one to argue about math because it's not my strong suit. But
Same.
No. Okay. Oh, I was like, wait, what? No, it's not Judgment. We just did that one. Season 2, episode 20, Horizon. Ensign Mayweather wears a tight shirt. That's all that matters. Next. No. Ensign Mayweather visits his family on their cargo ship while the Enterprise investigates a planetary phenomenon near Earth. Phenomenon.
Trevor, what are your thoughts on this episode? I know Travis is one of your favorites.
Just push the button. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I do enjoy getting to see Travis's family.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like his mom would have loved me.
Yeah, she's lovely.
And that's how things start off for Travis and I.
Mm-hmm.
In a more positive direction. But no, it's okay. I don't have a lot of deep thoughts about it. I love seeing any Star Trek character's family. Yeah. Even when it's, Lwaxana can be controversial at times when you bring up loving her dropping into what is normally a relatively serious show and being sort of, gregarious and a little nutso. But I still love seeing these characters' families. I think what happens when I watch this episode, it's not the episode's fault, it's the series' fault. I get frustrated that this is the only development Travis gets.
Yeah. That
they're giving us, this is the first time we see a character's family, and it's the character we don't really want to do anything with from here on out. And I find that very disheartening and frustrating. So from a how I view Enterprise perspective, this episode I find frustrating. From an episode perspective, it's fine.
Well,
yeah. This is like an ongoing thing with this show where there's like, they plant these very interesting seeds that would make this show kind of different, like Temporal Cold War, start of the Federation and Starfleet. We get kind of cool Andorian stuff, some Vulcan stuff, and then we get this cool thing with like these like birthers, to these people who live their whole life in space. Like it's it's cool. Like it reminds me of like they did it. The only thing that kind of reminds me that they did it well was like the show The Expanse, where they talk about these people who are belters. They live their whole life on, like there's a whole culture that builds here, and maybe there's a lot of animosity. Like there's interesting stuff that they could mine for drama and story, but like these writers and these producers are so fucking tired and so creatively bankrupt that they're just going back to the same story they wrote in 87. It's like, come on. Like, this is a super interesting thing that they kind of mine, but that gives like Mayweather a lot of cool, like, like cool story that like, oh, did you leave your family to join Starfleet? They didn't want you to go. Like all of these things that could surround his character and make him interesting and give him more stuff to do. They touch on it for one episode where it's basically not even the A plot. It's like the 1A plot. Like it's not even like the full plot of this episode in a way that's like significant. And then they just Mayweather is never addressed again for the rest of the series. Like he's never mentioned in any significant way the rest of the series. And neither is this. Like it's super interesting, but they just discard it.
I'm sorry, Will just made me think it should have been the story that we see with the family should have been the A plot. The B plot should have been flashbacks to Travis as a child.
Yes.
And us learning why he didn't want to stay on that ship for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Instead of it being an argument between it should have just been like, just show us, don't tell us.
Yeah.
Right.
It could have been such an interesting thing with the civilian life in this time. Like the concern, I think in the last time we had an episode with a cargo ship that was pretty good with the Nausicaan hostage situation. This one, the concern that, people are going to want to go to Starfleet now because they can go faster. They can have a cooler ship, that be on a more comfortable ship or whatever. Like how do you entice people to do cargo runs in that world?
It makes me think, you saying that makes me think of one of Aaron Eisenberg's most brilliant performances was the scene where he's yelling at Avery Brooks where he, about why he wants to join Starfleet. He doesn't want to end up like his father. Like that was one scene and like 6 lines of dialogue that gave us more about Nog than this entire series gives us about Travis Mayweather. Yeah. But we could have had it. We could have had the moment where either as a child or as an adult, he finally looks at his parents and says, this is why. This is what I didn't want to be. But give us more. There's no meat to this episode. This is just
it would be interesting with this episode too. Like if with just this, I'm making a larger point to the series, but like if they kind of use the time travel stuff less as a way to like cover up the fact that this looks better than the original series ever looked, that they jump forward in time and they show, someone says, I don't know, like Starfleet's eventually going to take over all of this. All of our businesses, this family thing we built is going to go away and it's going to get absorbed by by Starfleet. Like the Starfleet ships are faster. They'll be able to move this merchandise better. We're all going to be out of a job. And then they cut to a TNG or something because they would have still had the sets for that. And then cut to them being like, oh, all of the trade routes are now managed by Starfleet. These companies are gone.
It's all Miranda class.
Yeah. It's a fuck. The Kobayashi Maru tug. Like it's that. Yeah. Like there's a point to make that these people's livelihood is being taken over by the government. Like like it's moving to us. I don't want to make that point like this like anti-socialist thing, but like there's a real. I mean, like, Mama, I'm all for it. Like, Mama, sign me up for that socialized medicine. Like do it. But the idea that these people's businesses would get taken, these family businesses would get taken away. It's like that's interesting. Or like they're being they have to be subsidized or something. Like they're not making the money they need to. Like
this is my politics leaking in, but like I've always thought with things phasing out, you just phase it out. You don't replace a job rather than lay somebody off. You in this example, we're going to change your route a little bit. We're taking over some of your route. We're not going to take away your livelihood, but your ship is no longer going to be a generational ship. Like you're not going to recrew when you're done. Like we'll
Right.
take over. We'll take over when you're done. We're not going to take this from you now. And
Sure.
in this future where it's less, things are less scarce, then it's more possible.
Also, we've already
Right.
seen that there is when a planet joins the Federation, like we've already had this teased in DS9. It didn't happen because the Bajoran Republic decided to stand on its own. But the idea of the Bajoran militia being incorporated into Starfleet,
Mhm.
like, why wouldn't Starfleet like we'll not only give you better engines, we'll train you to be like the captain. Like this is your ship. We're not
Yeah.
taking your ship from you.
Starfleet
just-
cargo runners. Yeah.
We're just outfitting it with like here's your whatever your rank is for captaining a.
We wrote a whole other episode. We just made a whole other episode. We could have the all the cargo people get together and go, we're not getting taken over by the Federation, by Starfleet. And we could have a whole episode with fucking Travis. Hello, season 5. We did it.
Hire
Guys,
us.
we broke a great episode for season 5. Fuck.
Where's my whiteboard?
Yeah, like that's a great idea for an episode. See, we're
Good
better
job,
than
everybody.
we're always better than Rick Berman, but
And
like
then
look at us.
if we could just storyboard why Travis is shirtless in this whole episode, that'd be great.
There'll be
no
a shower
reason.
scene. There will be a shower scene. Wow. That
looked like a
fucked
dick
Rick
before
Berman
this
right
text
over me.
went
Did
up,
feel
yeah.
a little.
I don't know why it went there, but
That felt personal. But thank you.
new system. All right, let's see the thumbs for Horizon.
What were we talking about?
I don't remember anymore. Sideways.
Yeah, it's a sideways.
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 21, The Breach. The crew try to rescue some scientists who have been working deep underground on a planet that is now taken over by militants. Dr. Phlox meets resistance from a dying patient. I mean, welcome to the episode wherein I fully realized my claustrophobia.
Yeah.
This episode makes me uncomfortable when they're climbing through that tiny little nope, not happening.
I have never had a desire to be in a cave. I went into the lava tubes in Flagstaff. Really fun. But yeah. But absolutely not. And there are apparently lava tubes here in LA that I saw something on TikTok come up pretty soon after the second earthquake that I had experienced since living here. I've only lived here 2 years. I've been awake for 3 of 5 that have happened since I've lived here. I'm like, I am not going into a cave in Los Angeles. Like, absolutely not.
The ground moves there. Why would you do that?
The ground moves here. Yeah, it's insane.
Isn't it safer underground? That's what they say. That you go into the subway to stay safe.
Who are they?
That's because it's
Who's on
reinforced,
the
not
surface?
a tunnel though.
They're trying to get me killed.
That's gonna fall on you. That's crazy.
What
I don't
sort
know
of-
what
Like
your
it's on the surface.
are. And
Look, I'm not from a place with earthquake.
I was going to say,
I mean-
3 of us have survived many an earthquake. And then Benji's like,
been a
go into
single
the
one."
subway.
Yeah. Go into the
go into an ancient lava tube. It's the only safe place. They've been there since
I've got to have
for all
words
the
with Neil
earthquakes.
deGrasse Tyson. Or
Be
whoever
sure to
did that
pull
job.
the goblet off of its ancient stone perch. I'm sure nothing will happen.
Stare directly
Oh,
into the
God.
eyes of the idol. Nothing bad will happen.
The Breach. Phlox is great. I thought there was a really interesting dynamic with this patient. Long held prejudice between the two species. They were at war several times. The last was over 300 years ago, which I thought was an interesting note of like how long prejudices can permeate culture and why it's so important that you push back and fight it. And hearing about his grandmother and how he had to make sure that did not happen with his children and how he failed with one of his children. It's actually really interesting with what's going on in 2025 with some of the younger generation getting red pilled by influencers online with trying to be an alpha and whatever. Like, people who don't look like you are the problem. There's an interesting subtext in this episode with that A plot. The B plot was interesting. Seeing Denobulans are just goofy little goofs. It was the
Horny,
thing.
goofy little goofs.
Goofy little goofs. Like what pulled me out of it a little bit was like the Denobulans were evil to this other species, and I'm like, have you met a Denobulan? But like again, 300 years, like very different species, but they were all just like, no, we got to stay. And the underpinning of the planet being like, oh, you're not from this planet, get the fuck out. Like it's Star Trek is on the money with the allegory. Timeless, unfortunately. Those are my thoughts. Will?
Yeah, it's Star Trek reheating their nachos, as the kids would say. But it's not, at least it was a little bit more interesting. Like it wasn't just like they tried something kind of new with it. I mean, we've seen this story so many times, but like, I mean, it's funny because like on this rewatch, I like Phlox a lot more. Maybe I'm just growing up. I'm an adult. But as a kid, I hated the character. I was like, oh my God, it's a Phlox episode. I'd rather not. But now I'm like, oh yeah, no, because he's a wonderful actor and he really does like put a lot into the role and like into every scene. So it's nice to see it. But like, yeah, it's inoffensive. It's fine. Reheating nachos? You don't like reheating nachos? Sorry, Joanne. It's here to stay. It's part of the zeitgeist.
I don't understand the phrase, and I refuse to learn. Trevor, your thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I mean, again, Billingsley for the win. Like he's really the saving grace of this episode for me.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a win to be had for production design and the right for like actually having that claustrophobic reaction for me. Like I get uncomfortable when they're in the cave. Like it just like, and not all cave episodes do that to me, but knowing that they had to go through that very narrow like thing like that just triggers me in ways that I can't. Like I'm just like nope. Yeah. So kudos to them for accomplishing that particular goal, if that was a goal.
I think Norman is talking about his vote, but also that cave was sort of upper sideways.
It works no matter what. Thanks, Norman. Yeah, I don't. Again, good Star Trek episode. Like I don't have anything negative to say about it. It doesn't. This isn't one where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to rewatch The Breach from season 2 of Enterprise. But if it's on, I'm not turning the channel. Like I'm like, oh, this is like if Pluto decides to ever rerun Enterprise again, instead of constantly giving us TOS over and over and over again, I will watch it. But I'm not like, it's not on any of my top anything lists. But it's good. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it.
The name doesn't work for me. I'm just like, what? Every time I read it, I was like, what episode is that?
Yeah. But also, the have you met a Denobulan bit, like the making those horny little fools out to be like they're just. I just picture Denobulans eating a lot and having orgies. Like they just seem fun.
They're fucking in that cave.
They're not doing anything wrong. Like they're harmless. Leave it like. But I get it. Like there's a history. But it was weird to pick the Denobulans to give that history to, I guess, maybe.
Yes, and also no.
I get it.
Yeah, I like that it feels out of character, which is a good reminder because races are not monolith.
Let me reframe it by saying it's weird to give us that history and that bit of the Denobulans in a 42-minute episode and never address it again.
Yeah.
It's one thing to add layer and context to a species that we've either dealt with a lot or will be dealing with a lot. It's another thing to have a character that you largely ignore throughout the 4 seasons, and then pepper this in, but never give us any more with it. That feels out of, like, having watched all of Enterprise, this bit feels disjointed.
Yeah. Let's see those thumbs then.
Still liked it.
Uh-oh.
Tie. Comment. First comment breaks the tie. We're just going to stare at you.
2 of us are sideways. The first comment is going to sway the vote.
Race to the comments, y'all, because we're just going to stand here and stare at you until you do. Haha! Breaking the tie, Joel. Joel with a thumbs up, so that makes the episode a thumbs up.
All right.
Fuck you, Joel.
Season 2, episode 22.
Oh, God.
Fucking awful. Kidding. It's called Cogenitor. The Enterprise crew encounters an alien species that relies on a third gender for its mating ritual. Trip takes matters into his own hands when he witnesses discrimination against the third gender. That last sentence makes this episode sound better than it is. I liked this episode better when it was called The Entire Series of Alien Nation, that handled this whole topic way better than this episode ever did. No disrespect to LeVar Burton.
Yes, directed by LeVar Burton. This episode makes me so mad because I personally think it is very close in a couple of key ways to being good and being interesting. There is a core concept that is worth exploration, particularly in 2003. But the execution along the way, particularly with the script, just pisses me off. Number one, confusing sex and gender. Now, I get it. Like, you don't, if you're educating your audience in a Star Trek episode, you're probably not writing a great Star Trek episode, but you probably could. You could do better. It's vaguely reminiscent of The Outcast, and we've talked about this, where like they tried to write a gay episode, failed miserably, and it accidentally wrote a kind of interesting trans story. This doesn't do that even. Like there's no, like I don't know what like the saving grace of this episode could be, other than Andreas Katsoulis, having him back in Trek in a new fun role, him being jolly. It was interesting. But this, yeah, like Father is saying, this is a fun topic. Star Trek episodes that are so close to being good but aren't, like, they're the bones are there in this episode. There's some good performances, but this episode really frustrated me with Trip, especially. I do not believe his curiosity in this episode. I think his curiosity is born from the fact that the cogenitor is female presenting. If they had cast a male actor or a male presenting non-binary person in this role, that could have pushed it a little bit better. And also the thing that frustrated me was, of many, Archer at the end being pissed and saying, "This is not what I would have done. How dare you?" This is exactly how Archer, like, I did not believe that moment for a moment. I'm like, Archer would have, if their roles had been reversed, he absolutely, like, how many times have we already seen him be like, "Where I come from, this is how we do it," blah, blah, blah. And it was just so wonky. It, like, I understood what they were trying to go for, but Trip's haphazard curiosity, well, on Earth we only have 2 genders, like, that wasn't true in 2003, on top of confusing sex and gender. And like it's just such a fucking mess. But end of rant.
Your rant actually reminded me of one of the things that I find particularly frustrating about this episode happening at this point in the series. Trip is a warp engineer on Starfleet's, at the time that this is at the time this is taking place, Starfleet's most advanced ship. Stop making him a dumb hillbilly. Yeah. It's fucking offensive. Like, not every person who happens to have been born in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, like, is an idiot. Like, stop painting this man as stupid and incapable of learning from past experience. He's encountering a new alien species who has a slightly different sexuality structure in terms of how they procreate. Why is he so confounded by it?
Yeah, he was literally pregnant,
right?
Last season.
I get being taken aback and being like, how are you abusing this intelligent, sentient being in a way that you don't teach them how to read? You don't teach, like, how are you mistreating these people? That's so offensive, given that your society has evolved to a point. And I'm not saying he should necessarily be saying this in an undiplomatic fashion, flipping a table full on Teresa Giudice. I'm saying he should. I get being offended by the way that the cogenitor was being treated. I don't get the bumbling way that he goes about expressing it. It's offensive to the character. It's that Connor Trinneer is capable of giving us so much more, and you're not letting him, and it's frustrating. The Stargate Atlantis gives Connor Trinneer more to do with like 10 guest appearances than Enterprise gives him in 4 years. And it's so fucking annoying that they're just leaning on, and this is, go ahead and throw up the fuck Berman banner again, because it's you're leaning on an accent that makes up part of your triad.
Yep.
You had the Vulcan, you had the sort of neutral American sounding white guy, and then you've got the white guy with the Southern accent. And in this case, he's not a physician, so you've got to make him fucking stupid. It doesn't make sense. It's annoying. It does disservice to the series. It does disservice to Star Trek, and it does disservice to the fans. In addition to all the other horrible things this episode does about confounding sexuality and gender and sex and thinking that they're all the same thing, and none of them are the same thing, and it's infuriating. End rant.
And Will, you loved this episode. What were your thoughts?
Oh yeah, no, great. Favorite episode of Star Trek. I found myself like, for all the reasons we've already illustrated. I think the thing that I found the most frustrating, again, it's a timid episode that's trying to discuss something the writers don't understand, and there's not enough time to give the nuance necessary to have these kind of conversations, and given the characters are so. You can't use the character as a direct proxy for that storyline, because like if we had Trip being maybe pansexual or something and having a relationship with them, like being more related to that directly, none of them have any. The problem with the characters of this series is that they don't have any. They're not characters. They're two-dimensional pretty much all the way through until we get a little bit of something, but then it sometimes the one thing that they have character-wise gets it overstays its welcome a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about next season. But like the thing I actually that caused the most umbrage for me, that I was like, this is actually the thing that I found the most offensive, is that they wrote the cogenitor as a like basically someone who has who is has learning disabilities, and like they don't frame it as someone who is like in a specific caste or like cultural role, which would be more. They played that. There was like, oh, we're saving them because they're not educating them, and I'm like, that's awful. Like because it makes them seem like, oh, they're like, it's not nefarious. It's like this is a cultural thing. They don't educate them, but like. There were so many things that they got wrong with this, but not in a way where they swung so hard that they kind of ended up making a good, how they did with the Outcast, where they missed the gay story entirely and made a really good trans episode, like an almost good trans episode. It has its merits, but like this, they swung so hard, but they ended up just like hitting themselves in the leg. It's weird. Yeah. It's like. It
also got me at the pronoun usage. Like I wasn't even bothered by the other culture using it, as offensive as that would be, because they kept misgendering them by saying her because they happen to be female presenting slightly.
Yeah,
like we knew these pronouns in 2003. Like they could have been ahead of the curve by using they them pronouns. Pronouns in bio,
or even made up a pronoun.
Make up
one.
Yeah,
not referring to someone as an object. But to both of your points, did we not learn the lesson from Outcast by casting a female presenting individual in this role? This would have been potentially so much more powerful had a male presenting actor been involved with Trip and allured Trip in the way that is portrayed in this episode. Anyway,
Yep.
I've already read
it's just it's the if it was just that they the co-genitors have a secret society where they love art and these other things, they just have to hide it. That's like more interesting than like, oh, we're just playing them as people who are developmentally disabled. I'm like, oh god, like that's offensive too.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
like
people who are non-binary or like mentally deficient. Like what are you conflating here with this? Like you're putting two things together that are like now being like, I don't know. It's so annoying. The pronouns for this episode are shit. Like fucking terrible.
It also feels like this episode was where Brannon was like, I'm gonna make the Mocklins in the Orville. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it slightly better. But also not in some ways. He loves reusing ideas.
Clearly.
I'm never gonna work in Hollywood.
He doesn't work it in either.
Let's see the thumbs for cogenitor.
Bloop.
Fire torpedoes. Bam, bam, bam. Get rid of it. Out the airlock.
Thumbs down all around. That is correct.
The home stretch, y'all. Episode 23, Regeneration. Earth calls on Enterprise to intercept 2 renegade cyborgs, but the human-robot hybrids turn out to be an insidious enemy. Could this be Star Trek's first contact with the Borg? Capital T, capital B? Dun, dun, dun.
We need a gay alert for the way that you read that synopsis. A cyborg?
I read it the way that it's written. It's written in gay font.
You added a little flair.
Are you suggesting that after 6 Aperol spritzes, I would embellish? I'm kidding. I'm only 3 in.
So I mentioned this earlier. This
double.
episode did not bother me the way that the Ferengi episode did, because I'm like, why are we seeing somebody we know we're not going to see? Like,
yeah.
I don't mind messing with canon per se, especially with the newer Treks. It does not bother me. He has a sister. Get the fuck over it. He also had a brother we didn't know about until a terrible movie that I actually kind of love. Anyway, the problem that I had with this episode is that they see the actual Borg too much. Like the researchers seeing them was fine, but once they were on the ship, I think it should have stayed just the like in the process of being assimilated, so that there was no visual connection. Like, they have cameras on that fucking ship. So how is nobody in Starfleet aware of the Borg when the J25 incident happens in Q-Who? Like, just that, if they had just left it as they did not see fully Borgified people, the crew didn't, then it would have worked much better for me.
Also, if they hadn't made Denobulans apparently immune.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't draw as much umbrage from that, actually. I was kind of like, well, we don't see them go, after they get back from, what J25 whatever it is, that they were like, oh, we encountered these people 200 years prior, but we just didn't realize it. Like, I kind of gave them that, like, oh, they were too busy escaping to like really go, oh, connect the dot from an encounter that happened hundreds of years ago. Like, I'll let that go. But like, this is like an excellent way to like tie something into the show that's time travel, that kind of timey-wimey thing, and like go, oh, well, yeah, this would have happened. We had, we were already visited by the Borg at one point. And how to tie that into the rest of the show and make it interesting, like bring that loose thread and bring it into canon is really like, this is like it's unfortunately a pretty low bar to clear this season, but I think this is the best written episode of the season. Like, in my opinion, it's one of the best. Like, I actually, the Borg were scary again. I was like, how the fuck are they going to get out of this? Like, they were, after Voyager, where they really were defanged and we knew too much about them. I thought this was interesting because it was, you were experiencing the Borg again for the first time. So I was like, oh yeah, these fuckers are scary. Like they're scary. Like they're terrifying. Like it was nice to see that kind of a revisit of that. But yeah.
I kind of wonder if they did sort of weave it into Trek, because like in Discovery, you remember like Leland has like nanoprobes and gets sort of Borgified, and I think there's like an implication that I think somewhere it says there's like they procured technology from the future or something. So maybe those like nanoprobes were hanging around on a Section 31 base or something like that, and so it's possible. I really like quite enjoyed the continuity of having First Contact happen and then it having repercussions in Enterprise. I think that's phenomenal. I mean, TNG like hadn't happened yet when it happened, so if you take like the Aaron Waltke theory of the universe, it's just like it hasn't happened yet, and then it did, and then we watch it how it plays through an Enterprise. So I was always fine with it. I was totally fine with them fucking with canon if we get something cool out of it. So
yeah, that's great.
All right, let's pick up the pace. See those thumbs. We're coming in for a landing. All right, a thumbs up.
Season 2, Episode 24, First Flight. After learning an old colleague has died, Archer tells T'Pol the story of how he and his former rival worked together on the first high warp test flight and saved the NX program from being scrapped.
It exists. White people not getting what they want, like whatever.
Men are pilots, y'all.
We have to break the rules. Like, over it. Any other thoughts?
Filler.
All.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see those thumbs. Looks like it's a sideways.
I lost. Season 2, Episode 25, Bounty. T'Pol prematurely suffers symptoms of Ponfar, the Vulcan mating cycle, in which she must mate or die. And a bounty hunter abducts Archer to return him to the Klingon homeworld to face punishment as a prison escapee.
This should have come sooner, like I said earlier. Like it would have made Judgment make a little more sense. If had they not been so disrespectful about Jolene and the cat suit and the crop tops, etc., if they had been more they do objectify men a little bit more in this show than others. If they had been more equalized in that regard, what they put T'Pol through would not bother me as much as it did, because like this is something interesting that happens to Vulcans, and a virus making it happen sooner. There is some humor with some sexiness happening between T'Pol and Phlox of all people, and him of course being professional, even though we know Phlox fucks. Like there was something there, and like it just didn't quite land for me, especially her getting out of the decon chamber. I didn't like that they let the character be seen by others in that state. I don't know why that bothers me as much as the other stuff. But I think it would have been better as is if at least they stayed in the decon chamber and people were outside, were just like, what's going on with T'Pol? Nobody's saying anything, and just like left it as a mystery. Meh.
Embarrassing, irredeemable on every level, insulting to Jolene Blaylock, like offensive to women. Female sexuality is dangerous and should be locked away. Fuck this episode. It's terrible. Like it's like, again, it's like they can't. The Ponfar thing is like, okay, cool, but if it's her embarrassment being like, I can't be seen like this, and like whatever, but she's like running around the ship like grinding her hot wet pussy all over the floor, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, who hasn't done that?
It's crazy.
There's
it is so fucking offensive.
Why can't she just like Jill off to take care of it? Like why does she need a man?
I'm sorry,
Take
what in
care
the
of her pawn
Canadian did
far.
you just say?
Jill
What?
off.
Why
What
does
is
she
it?
need
Instead of Jack. Come on, y'all.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Which you wouldn't be
okay.
familiar
I was gonna
with.
say flick the bean, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She needs a man. Also, that woman was not eating for the entire run of the series.
Yeah.
No, oh my God, she is so
I've heard
thin.
interviews where people have been like, you would see her near craft services and like,
Oh no.
she just wasn't like.
That was Marina said something about how
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, that they won't let that poor woman eat. Like she just, yeah,
Awful.
yeah, awful.
All right, thumbs for Bounty. The quicker picker upper.
Not so much.
It's
Not
good
this one.
branding.
I'm gonna put it down.
This one didn't pick up shit.
All right, final episode.
Season 2, episode 26, The Expanse, also a fantastic series on Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
Captain Archer and the crew return to Earth following a devastating attack on the planet by a previously and futurely unknown species. And T'Pol must choose between her duty to the Vulcan High Command and Enterprise.
And speaking of a late swing,
Ah,
who's here?
A swing and a miss.
She swings, she
God.
misses, she's all the things.
Hello, Matt. Welcome to the end of the show.
She's
I
beauty
know,
and she's
sorry,
grace. She's
but at
Miss
least
United
I'm here.
States.
Matt, what are your thoughts about The Expanse?
You know, more solid than a lot of the rest of the series, I feel like. Less solid than every other Star Trek series, but admittedly I could just use that in any case for anything in Enterprise. So
touche.
I'll let somebody else go since I just joined.
Benji, what were your thoughts on this episode? There's a lot of crazy crap going on, but I liked it. There's nothing to say. Like I liked it. I am going to give it a thumb up. Not to give it away. The only thing I'm wondering was like, were the Klingons hanging out in like Earth's like Oort
For
cloud
months.
for like 3 months?
Yes.
They were just chilling out there. What? Okay. Somebody else.
Yeah. Trevor?
I mean, the intention setter gives away that I kind of wanted to change a lot about this from who actually attacks Earth and what impact it has and how much damage the attack actually does. Because I'm like, I mean, it's not about body count, but at the end of the day, like you put a giant scorch mark through Disney World. Like that's devastating right now, but like in the future, and like maybe it did more damage elsewhere. Like
Yeah.
it just seems weird that their first attack was like most of the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And
Sounding Florida was not.
it was just weird. It was a weird choice. I get it. They wanted to kill Trip's sister. There were other ways to do that. My biggest gripe about this episode is that it tried too hard to do something that had been done 2 years prior in real life.
Yeah.
It was a little.
It was the 9/11. It was
Star Trek
9/11.
9/11.
It was Star
Yeah.
Trek 9/11, and to me, even at the time, it felt a little exploited. Like it didn't feel right. And
No.
looking back on it, knowing the history, it still doesn't feel right. It's not poorly done. It's fine. They're trying to set up an interesting arc for next season, and they're trying to redo how they storytell for next season, which both hits and misses. But
Where does it hit?
Florida.
No, it's I don't think that's what he meant. I would say it hits in serialized storytelling, but it misses in actually executing serialized storytelling. But also it hits Florida, which yes. I still have family there. Slow down. Anyway, I'm gonna sideways it when it's time, but it's yeah. Anyway, boy.
Yeah, my thoughts on this episode. I understand what they're doing. They're doing a big, like, they love saying this now with the newer shows. They're taking a big swing. They're doing something different, and it's kind of cool to see, like, oh, there's going to be a massive shift in the middle of this series. What are they going to do? But like, I know that they explain it somewhat in season 3, and we'll get there in the next 2 weeks. But it is like, not to say people who killed a bunch of people did it right. Like, for the goal, one attack made sense. If the Xindi's goal was to destroy Earth, attacking Earth with the prototype made no fucking sense. Like, why would you warn the planet? Like, I don't think that there is enough explanation of that in season 3, of like, they needed to collect more data is like a one throwaway line. And like, unlike my usual complaint with some episodes where I need one more line of dialogue in this case is not enough. So whatever. I did like the conundrum that T'Pol and Phlox had, and seeing, like, are we going to stay or are we not? Because like, you just assume, like, of course they're going to stay, but then it seems like, oh, maybe not, and whatever. And like, the way that they weave through that was fun. And I love seeing a ship in a dry dock to get upgrades. Like, this is where now it makes sense that they have phase cannons in a couple more places. And we've introduced photon torpedoes. Like, I like seeing the progression of the technology. Like, we're updating the transporter so it's a little more safe. Like, they could have changed that set a little bit. Like, they have a situation room in season 3, which I never thought made sense because they already have one on the bridge. But whatever, fun stuff to see. Any final thoughts on this episode before thumbs?
And it's kind of a boring set, that situation room.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's a redress from a Nemesis set. It's the it's a redress from the stellar cartography or something. Or a bridge piece. It's like it's a weird part. Yeah. Anyway,
it's stellar photography where apparently Data and Picard forgot that they get cut off from the rest of the fleet.
Yeah. Oh, we can't. Yeah, that moment. Yeah.
It's the we have cell service here moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. This episode, like, I'm glad you brought up the fact that they, like, watching this episode again. It doesn't make any sense that the Xindi attack Earth. Like, it would make more sense if they attacked, like, a new, like, space station or something, or like a couple of things that was like, stay away from here, or like attack something. It's like, oh, okay, but to attack, attack Earth,
go after Earth, yeah,
and it's like, oh, but now we got to go find them. It's like, okay, but like, have them be like, attack a bunch of Earth shit. Be like, oh, they attacked a bunch of our shit. Like, make it bigger, because it's like, oh yeah, Trip's sister died. I'm gonna say something controversial. I'm gonna say this, and I mean it. I mean it with all the love in the world. I don't think Connor Trenier is a good enough actor to have handled the storyline he was given in this episode and through season 3. And I also think the problem is Star Trek does not write grief well.
Yeah,
and it doesn't come off well. He hits one note and stays there for a whole season, and it gets a little like, okay. In this episode, it's a little it's not acted well. And I don't know if that's him or if it's the material he was given, but I don't think he's a strong enough actor at this point in time to handle this storyline. Because grief is weird and it doesn't read well on camera in a series like this.
I'm only going to push back with a little bit of, I think it was more the material than the actor, in that we didn't know his sister, so it doesn't feel anything for us. He's playing off of a character that was like written in the character Bible. Like he lost someone
we met her or something. Yeah,
so he doesn't know her either.
They should have introduced her a few episodes earlier in a letter, in a like, I am going to go We've reestablished contact with Terra Nova from season 1. We're gonna take them some supplies, and the Zindi attack Terra Nova and Utopia Planitia and a couple
his
cargo
sisters there.
ships.
Yeah,
like Bill was saying, like have her introduce several episodes beforehand. Give us something to care about as well as the audience, and something for Connor to play off of differently.
The thing is, and this is one thing that I have felt the entire time, every time I go back to this episode, sorry, to pull this, like, they wanted to make the gravity such that you felt the same way you did when in Generations when they killed Renee. They wanted that, like, oh my gosh, like, this is something, you want to change this, you knew this character, you saw this character, but they never led up to it. They never cared about the character enough. They didn't give it really a face, an emotion to it, which is honestly this entire episode. They didn't give enough gravity to why did they attack Earth? Why are they coming for this? Prodigy does a much better job of telling this exact storyline better than this episode and most of season 3 of Star Trek Enterprise. It's, we're mad at you, we're going back in time, we're meddling with the past because you're going to destroy us in the future. It's the same basic thing, but they want to pull more weight into it, and they just had no way of doing it, partially because everyone was so exhausted with writing Star Trek and acting in Star Trek at that point. I honestly think there was a lot of really good ideas here. There was some great, I think Star Trek tends to always swing for modern times, but sometimes it just, like, it really doesn't hit. And they tried to get that 9/11 parallel in at the time, but then it just, like, to your point, it seemed exploitive. So it just, like, the whole thing is like this really close misses, and that's why it's like, oh yeah, it's an episode that they carved a hole in the planet, a giant trench that now technically there should be, a canal across Florida, but
a new Disney attraction.
It doesn't make sense.
We often say it as a punchline, but, like, literally too soon.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
Now we can make all the jokes about 9/11 we want.
Right?
It's different.
I mean, whether or not they land is a secondary.
That's exactly right. You can make it. It may not land. Speaking of landing, I don't have a video for this anymore. I'll fix it. Let's vote with our thumbs on this episode.
Land the ship.
Looks like it's a sideways.
Yeah.
All right, friends, that's the end of this battle, this thumb war. Trevor, give us the tallies as we wrap
You
up.
gotta vamp more than that while I
will. Hey, everybody, while Trevor is coming up with the tally, I want to remind folks we're going to be doing an interview tomorrow with the CEO of the nacelle company, Brian Volk-Weiss. That will premiere on the channel next Tuesday. So be on the lookout for that. We're super excited to talk with Brian about the new toy line and the documentaries that they've produced. They also produce Gates McFadden's podcast, Investigates, which is excellent. If you haven't listened, you should, but not until you like and subscribe to this podcast if you haven't yet. We are on YouTube, Bluesky, Twitter, and Patreon at Salon Trek on all of the podcast platforms. Please do like and subscribe, comment on our videos. It helps fuss with that algorithm and put this nonsense in front of other people. And that is the end of my vamping. Trevor, how about those tallies, please?
So glad you asked. So for tonight, we gave 3 thumbs ups, 7 thumbs sideways, 2 thumbs downs, and we set 1 episode on fire. That for a total for season 2 brings us to 6 thumbs ups, 13 thumbs sideways, 6 thumbs downs, and again, 1 episode that we blew up with a hand grenade. There were 2 problem alerts. There was 1 bad alert. Will dragged a bitch once. And I was going to reword the way I said this, but then because of his latent and blatant homophobia, I'm just going to say it this way. We fucked Rick Berman 4 times. I gave 500 bonus points to Will for just agreeing with me. I gave him another 100,000. I gave him another 100,000 bonus points for slaying Stigma whilst also just slaying in general. I gave 75 bonus points to Fathery for helping my aged memory recall the name of an episode in the comments. I gave 8,000 bonus points to Benji for ship-based vibrator references. I gave 20,000 bonus points to Joanne in the comments for reading a bitch with one word. That word was I gave 25 bonus points to Matt for coming late. I gave him an additional 1,000 bonus points for not coming early. And I gave 1,701 bonus points to Matt's man Ryan for watching us, because every one of these sluts loves to be watched.
And subscribing.
Yes. I do like being watched, and I do like people subscribing.
Wait, did you say 1001 or 1701? I feel like
1001. That would have been on brand. Yeah. Come on.
Come on.
All right, friends. Cheers.
He
Wait,
literally
it
just
says
texted me and said,
chance,
"Hell
not
yeah, I got
cheers."
bonus points."
This is new. What does this do? Okay. Well.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, we're done. Thank you all very much for joining us on the Salon. We will be back next week talking about Star Trek Enterprise Season 3. But again, be on the lookout next Tuesday. It is not an April Fool's joke. We will have an interview with Brian Volk-Weiss of the Nacelle Company. And on Thursday, we'll be back at our regular time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, talking about Star Trek Enterprise Season 3. So get excited for that. Until then, please do live long and prosper.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.